Hi, IDS-410. Welcome to Module 4. I'm going to try to make this quick because it's just got some very specific items on the agenda this week. First of all, thanks for your discussions, your proposals, those types of things. They're coming in really nice. I can see that there's this, slow shift from that big giant problem you might have thought you could wrap your, research around, and then with discussions, calls, feedback. I yawn once. Somebody should research why I yawn once every video. Okay, so they're coming along. You're slowly bringing it down to something more manageable. Now, yes, if you want to go to the dean's office and say, you won't let me research sustainability and the global sustainability, they'll probably tell me I got to let you do that. Do you think you're going to get anything out of it, though? I just, because we can't do it. I like to do things that we can do, that we could do, okay? That we could do, because that takes you from the beginning of the course where bigger is better and idealistic and somebody should do something about this problem or that problem, takes us down to the other side of the continuum where we actually are an active participant in the solution or mitigation of a problem, okay? And again, I'm not asking you to actually do that there, but to understand that you could do that if I wanted to, right? So, Module 4 is going to look at a few things in the material. Please read it because we get into social issues and activism. What's the difference between a social issue and social change? Okay, social change is the constructing of an action or set of actions to address, modify, or replace an existing social issue with new behavior, cultural practices, or even legal action. As the term activism implies, social change requires people to be involved. It requires more than just people wanting to make a change. So because of this nature of this course, yes, you can talk about what that means to have activism and everything, and that's great. I didn't sleep much last night. I'm sorry. Here it is Sunday at, 5 o'clock Pacific time. So it's important to learn about the distinctions here because it'll give you a better context for what this means, social change. What can you do, okay? Because we'll be faced with it, all of us are stakeholders in our society. And, I'm sorry, but I wouldn't expect someone who lived in DeLand, Florida to be able to push change in Washington State. You know what I mean? There's different things. There's different dynamics from New York City to Phoenix. There's different dynamics in rural Nebraska to Los Angeles. So we stay in our lane. Neighborhood is great because it's something you know about and you can identify things easier. But anyways, you're pretty much settled on your issues, so that's good. Please take a look at my feedback. I know I'm harping on the same things kind of with the importance of it, but I want to remind you that. So as you go along, you can, I thought I paused this. Okay. So this week, Module 4 is about a literature review. Now I'm going to say you guys get off pretty easy. I used to teach research at Arizona State University, and the literature review had to have about 10 sources at least. Okay, and the sources need to be peer-reviewed. Primary research. So what we're asking you here is conflicting instructions, okay? And I want to really call your attention for those of you that are listening, which should have been all you, but it never is. The rubric calls for one source, which is absurd because it's a literature review, a review of literature, all right? Research papers do this. They look at what's already existing in the research from peer-reviewed sources, and then they look at that, analyze that, find out if something supports their hypotheses, does it challenge it, does it go against it, and they use those. That's a whole section in a paper. So the rubric says 1. I don't buy it, okay, because the instructions say 4 minimum. The instructions say 4 minimum. I've talked to the administration about getting that synced up. I don't know when that's going to happen, but I'd like to see 4, and I'd like to see, I don't want to see .com, .blog, .org, even .gov. Look for research papers peer-reviewed in the Shapiro Library. You search, and then you filter it out for peer-reviewed, and full text online. That's what you use, okay? Those are things without bias. Every other source has bias. And we have to dig in to find out what that bias is. You don't want to do that. So .gov has a governmental bias. .com has a commercial revenue profit bias. .org has an organizational point of view bias, okay? And .blog or blogspot, that's just somebody's personal opinion. Remember, this is not an editorial, okay? This is not anecdotal evidence. This is about research and data, okay? So read that. Let's see, what was the important thing I want to say? Yeah, it says, remember that you'll need at least 4 sources. That's right from the instructions. Remember that you'll need at least 4 sources that represent diverse perspectives to support your project in this course. Use this opportunity to support your assignment with evidence. Very important, okay? So specifically, you're gonna look at previous attempts, gaps. Now these should be your subheadings, by the way. They're bolded in the instructions. Previous attempts, gaps, identify potential strategies, evaluate potential strategies, recommend one of the strategies, and provide justification. And then it says, provide at least 1 resource you can use for a project. Well, right above that in the instructions says at least 4 sources. So I'm just telling you from an academic integrity standpoint, academic rigor standpoint, 4 sources has got to be the minimum, okay? So I really expect a comprehensive paper here. Use subheadings, bold them. Those should be subsections, right? Okay, so remember what research is not. Research is not gathering information for self-enlightenment. It is when you're in high school. It is when you're researching a trip to Europe and getting a new car, but it's not for this, okay? It's not the transportation of facts, okay? Gathering information from books or magazines isn't research, okay? Depending on the book, of course. It could be a textbook and it might be peer-reviewed, but papers, research papers is good, okay? No contribution to new knowledge, although this might make knowledge more accessible. So if you're not making a contribution to new knowledge, then what are you doing, right? All right, so I'm gonna put some links, because if you don't believe me, there is a, let me see if it still works, this link, afc.edu. Well, we'll see if that comes up. Yeah, that's credit hours, don't worry about that. All right, I also want to make sure you get through this, because like I said, social issues and activism, it's very important to see that. There's a video about literature reviews. Please look at it, please, okay? It's very important. This is one of the main parts of a research paper, okay? You have your proposal, then you have a lit review, okay? And then normal research papers get into other sections, but these are first 2 of very important sections, all right? Give me a call, set up a call if you need any help. Some of you might still be general, and I want to emphasize this. Bigger is not better. Smaller is better. Minuscule is better, okay? We're not going to try to solve these humongous problems and think that that's worth the big grade. No, anybody can say that, okay? I want to hear what you're doing on the front lines. And again, I'm going to give you an example of me. I used to go 2 or 3 times a week to the west side of Phoenix as a volunteer to work with resettled refugees, okay? Now, I was helping them to adapt to our society. Now, typically, refugees come over from refugee camps and such, and they'll get lessons in orientation in the U.S. and American culture and things like that. But what happens when a family goes to Minneapolis and a family goes to Phoenix? There's some distinct differences between those 2 places. So as a volunteer, I would go over there and I would help them to adapt to Phoenix, because Phoenix summers and Minneapolis winters are 2 opposite things. And out here, they don't have to learn how to deal with shoveling snow, okay? Now, what I did was help people get orientated to that. I helped them with job interview skills. I helped them with tech skills, okay? And helped them to get, just to get work and things. So see how that was boots on the ground, make a change. Because if I change 3 or 4 families, then they go off and they can help other refugees that come in based on the lessons, right? So this is how we ignite social change. I'm going on 10 minutes, so I'm gonna let you go. Please send me a message if you want to work on something together. Thanks.